Hello and welcome to the Harborview. I'm Joe Collymore. You know, there's still plenty of time to enjoy fun summertime activities right here in Hingham without having to travel far at all. There's golfing and swimming at South Shore Country Club, sailing and rowing at the Hingham Maritime Center, swimming and picnicking at the bathing beach, experiencing farm life at the 75-acre Weir River Farm on Turkey Hill, and learning more about the town's history at the Heritage Museum at 34 Main Street. The Hingham Farmers Market at the bathing beach is a place to go on Saturday mornings from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Lots of summertime activities for all ages are also offered at the Hingham Rec, Hingham Community Center, and South Shore Conservatory. You might also want to add the Bear Cove Fire Museum and the nearby South Shore Model Railway Club to your summer to-do list. And to top off a summer filled with fun activities, the Launch at Hingham Shipyard is hosting free live outdoor concerts and movies Thursday and Friday evenings in August. Weather permitting, of course, and in the amphitheater behind the Hingham Beer Works at 18 Shipyard Drive. Bring lawn chairs and blankets. Movies are shown on Thursdays and start at dusk. Musical performances begin at 7 p.m. Friday evenings. Last year, the trustees of reservations were granted permission to make changes to the World's End parking and circulation pattern and to add a not yet completed visitor center. A large group of World's End area residents attended a recent Joint Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning Board hearing to review the current situation, including parking, following the above changes as part of a required look-back. A tiered approach to programming was also part of the approval to prevent overlapping of events in response to some residents' continuing concerns about on-street parking in the surrounding neighborhoods, especially during high-attendance events. Another public meeting will be held next fall when more information about visitor and associated traffic count statistics during peak visitor times will be presented. World's End offers many recreational opportunities, including walking along the peninsula's miles of trails or just relaxing and reading a book with views of spectacular vistas. Whatever you decide to do, please consider the surrounding neighborhood when finding a parking space. The town of Hingham was recently awarded $2 million in state funding to dredge the town's inner harbor. The dredging will take place this fall, expanding all tide access to a boat ramp and hundreds of public moorings. The grant was announced Tuesday, July 23rd by Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito at Hingham Town Hall. Hingham's grant will be used to remove about 62,000 cubic yards of sediment. Dredging, as you may know, is the operation of removing material from one part of the water environment and relocating it to another. According to Polito's statements during her appearance, the more accessible moorings a town has, the more money it can make from permits. And that, the busier a town's harbor is, the more people will visit downtown. It's expected that during dredging will begin in October and wrap up by the end of January. Our first guest today is Ann Smith-White of the South Shore Conservatory, who's the Senior Director of Community Engagement. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the South Shore Conservatory. How long have you been with the organization?
I've participated in the organization since the day we moved to the area in the year 2000. We started out as a family, and my children went through the preschool and took music lessons. I've been working for the conservatory since 2009, so 10 years.
And some of the programs that the conservatory offers, particularly for some of our young and upcoming musicians, and then let's also talk about some of our older aspiring musicians.
So our mission is about access, increasing access to the arts for everyone. So that goes from our youngest children, babies in our early childhood classes. We have music together for child and caregiver, all the way up through adult learners, and through our creative arts therapies department, also working with people who are on living with memory loss or living in memory care units. So all the way from birth through, I think our oldest student is 102 this year.
Really?
Yes.
Now, talking about creative arts therapy, what does that really mean and what does it entail?
So creative arts therapy is a way of accessing wellness through music, specifically for us, through music and the arts. At the conservatory, we have a team of 5 certified music therapists who are trained in using music to shift physical well-being, mental well-being, using it for communication purposes, academic, mobility, using it as a tool for people who learn differently or have different barriers to learning in their lives. So we start with the very youngest children in preschool and early identification programs, and then working all the way through the lifespan, both individuals and group programs.
And tell me about this new campus that you're opening up.
So we've moved into a building at 135 Webster Street in Hanover. And this spring we received a transformational gift from the Glick family, Diane and Gary Glick, who live in Plymouth, to create a dedicated creative arts therapy center at that location. So hopefully within a year we're going to be breaking ground and we'll be able to open this creative arts therapy center, which will remove barriers of accessibility to everyone who wants to participate.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's really exciting. And what that does for us, it allows us to really live into our mission and remove barriers to access to people who have different kinds of spatial or mobility needs, people who learn differently. So creating a space that's appropriate and adaptable to help anybody with any kind of disability learn best. It's so exciting and really an exciting part of the next 50 years for us.
Now, you mentioned the Hanover campus.
That's right.
How many campuses do you have, and is the Hanover campus relatively new?
It's brand new, actually. We have our first campus in Hingham, which opened in 1970, and then in 1980 we opened a campus in Duxbury at the Ellison Center for the Arts. And this year we purchased a new building in Hanover, 135 Webster Street, which at the moment is just used as administrative offices. But now with this transformational gift, we'll be able to open the center hopefully within a year.
That is fantastic. Tell me more about the long-range goals, the vision of the South Shore Conservatory.
When we first started 50 years ago, the conservatory was primarily dedicated to providing private lessons and group instruction for children who lived in the communities we served, so in Hingham and Duxbury. And over the last, especially 15 years, we've really started reaching out into the community more. Instead of waiting for people to come to us and participate in, the excellent private lessons and group instruction that we offer, reaching intentionally out into the community and trying to increase access to the arts wherever we can reach people. So that means senior centers, that means public schools, public housing. We have programs running in centers for families experiencing homelessness. As I said before, memory care units and hospitals, and performances out in the community wherever we can get them. The mission of the conservatory is around access, and I think the next 50 years are really going to be about embracing that. The Hanover campus is a really exciting opportunity for us because it's right on that 53 corridor, it's right off the highway, Route 3, and it's going to be fully accessible. So we'll be able to meet everybody wherever they are.
When you talk about instruction, I'm curious about instruction, about the music teachers. Can you share with us a little bit of the backgrounds of some of the teaching staff?
So we employ over 100 teaching artists at the conservatory. We're one of the biggest nonprofits on the South Shore. People don't know that about us. So at our 2 campuses, and soon to be our 3rd campus, over 100 teaching artists. They all come from the strongest musical backgrounds, performance majors in college. Most of them have advanced degrees, masters, or doctorates. But the biggest thing that differentiates us, I think, is that they are good teachers. They really care about their students, and they come to the conservatory because they want to make a difference in people's lives. It's about being a musician and being a performer, but it's also about wanting to change people's lives in a really impactful way, and we know that music, that's one way to do that.
You know, when you talk about music, it is an elective that is seen far and few between in our public schools today. A lot of the arts programs, unfortunately, because of preponderance of teaching to the higher standards, and thus some of the arts fall by the wayside. You begin to see them making their return, but it's a gradual process. So this role, this mission that the South Shore Conservatory is providing for many of our young people is a much needed resource. Would you agree?
I would agree, yeah. I think the schools, the public schools, have always been the place where kids across the board have access to music. And you know, with budget cuts, with the focus on testing and assessment, as you said, really the focus has shifted away from providing the arts as not only an important method of instruction, but a way of creating well-rounded children and citizens. And I think especially now with social media and smartphones and how plugged in we all are, the arts are a way to reconnect with each other. You know, when you sit in a private lesson with a teacher, that person is your mentor. You're having a really important learning and personal relationship with this person. When you're sitting in our youth orchestra with 75 middle school and high school students from all over the South Shore, and all of you have your smartphones put away, and you are living in the moment, you're all learning together, you're creating something difficult, something that requires resilience and practice, and you're creating something beautiful. These moments of beauty that we are actively creating, this is something that the arts can do that nothing else can. And I would say, the arts are essential to who we are as humans. They have to be part of our curriculums in our schools. And until the day that everybody realizes that, the conservatory wants to be the advocate on the South Shore for the importance of the arts in all our lives, and also support to the educators in helping them do their jobs as best they can with the limited resources they have.
You know, when one hears the term conservatory, immediately coming to mind is not only high standards, but perhaps a little intimidation with respect to affordability.
Yeah.
So let's, for a moment, speak to our community at large who may not have the discretionary resources to put toward in supporting their child going through a conservatory program. What supports might you have in place to help them?
It's interesting that you brought up the point of the word conservatory, because for 50 years that's been both a benefit and a barrier for us. We really are a community music school. We started out with conservatory roots. We were a satellite of New England Conservatory in the beginning. That's why we have the word conservatory in our name. But over the past 50 years, we've really shifted to being a community organization. So part of the reason why community partnerships are so important to us is because we are reaching people where they are at a price point that they can afford. We do a program in Brockton. We've been for 7 years. It's called Imagine Arts. It's in the kindergartens, 6 elementary schools. We're working with 32 kindergarten classrooms this year, and we provide it for free. It's a weekly arts integrated literacy program that we do for free there, because that's where the children are who need access to the arts. Our programs with 11 senior centers on the South Shore are provided at a vast discount, because the senior center is able to pay for our teaching artist, and then they're able to provide that class at a very small price point, or many times for free, to the seniors who use that building. So those are our community partnerships, most of which rely on contributed income. So we're raising money through donors, through state grants, to fund those programs. For private lessons, private instruction, group instruction, for things that happen on campus, we have a very robust financial assistance program. So 20% of our students receive financial aid of some kind. And there's a form on the website that fill out. You know,
and tell me your website again.
The website is www.sscmusic.org.
Excellent. Is there anything else you want us to know about the South Shore Conservatory?
I think if there's anything that I could say, I would speak for the power of the arts in our lives. And the number of lives in the past 10 years that I've been involved at the conservatory, the number of lives that have really been changed, the number of students and children who this is a safe haven for them. It's a place to express themselves, a place to meet other like-minded students. You know, in my own family, my daughter, who I raised all the way through, she was one of those kids who the arts were her connection and her pride and her source of joy. And also, they saved her in the difficult years in middle school and high school. So there are so many kids who tell that same story. So when we talk about the fracturedness, the lack of communication and connection that we all are experiencing, we all feel every day, the arts are an antidote to that. And I think today it's so important to make them available to everybody who wants to participate.
That's doing some great work, Ann.
I'm proud of the place that I work in.
Tell me about some of the partnerships that the South Shore Conservatory is engaged in.
Our newest partnership, which is just starting this fall, is with Laura Center for the Arts at South Shore YMCA. We're so excited about this. This is a beautiful venue, beautiful performance space and some classroom spaces as well. And we're excited to be a part of the South Shore Y family. It's a vibrant, active community, and we're really excited to be there. We're going to be offering early childhood programs there. We're going to be continuing their very popular music theater program in the afternoons for middle school and teenagers, and also offering some programs for adults. We have a new chorus for adults living with Parkinson's disease and their care partners. That started last winter. That will be continuing. That was really popular. And we're also going to be moving our Community Voices chorus from our Hingham campus. This is a chorus of adults with developmental delays. It's got about 45 singers, and they'll be rehearsing there on Wednesday nights. Very
nice. What else can we look forward to in the fall?
Well, classes start the second week in September. I think it's Saturday, September 7th. And there are lots of spaces for anybody who wants to start up. It doesn't matter what age or what ability. We, carry that word conservatory, but really anybody can take a lesson. We're excited to have everybody.
Ann, this has been a great meeting, and I'm looking forward, if you promise me that you'll come back and update us about future plans, particularly with respect to the Creative Arts Center in Hanover.
It would be a pleasure. I'd love to do that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Our next guest today is Paul Austin, new Superintendent of Schools here in Hingham. Welcome.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Superintendent Austin, tell us about your experience in education.
Well, Joe, I think looking back over the last 30 years, I've been so incredibly fortunate to have some great opportunities from beginning as a social worker in public schools, working up into special education director, school psychologist or psychological examiner as they be called in Maine, to special education director, and then assistant superintendent and superintendent. I've worked for a number of districts and continue to, I guess, climb the ladder, so to speak, in different places that I've worked. But I've had great opportunities to work in both more rural opportunities and districts and some that are not as rural. And so I've got a really nice background that's mixed of some wonderful students in every place I've worked that has really provided me the opportunity to be where I am today.
You recently met with us. We saw each other during the Hingham 4th of July parade. Great to have you coming out. So what has been your early impressions of the community here?
Well, Hingham's an incredible town, full of spirit, full of life, full of tradition, and people who are incredibly proud of where they are on the South Shore. And so my initial impressions of just as a place that you want to be. This is a place where people want to raise their children. They value their education. They value the history that they offer in the country. And so it's just an incredible place with incredible people that are warm, inviting, engaging, and supportive particularly in my area of education.
As we're getting ready for the opening of schools, what are you looking forward to here in, let's say, the short term, the first term of the first half of the school year?
So one of the things that I'm doing, and I've been doing since I've been here 4 to 6 weeks maybe, I think now, and so what I'm trying to do now is really hit the ground learning and listening, or listening and learning. And so I'm trying to soak in everything I can about this community, the values, our traditions, things that matter to the people of Hingham. And so those are the things that I'm really truly engaged in. I come in with, and I'm working on continually an entry plan. And so the purpose of that entry plan really is to get as much information and to learn of what the people of Hingham truly value in their educational system. That process is not a 6-week process, it's more like a 6-month process. And so at this time I'm meeting with people, I'm learning what they think that we do really well, as well as those things that we need to improve upon. I'm just beginning that process now, and I will work with the school committee as I go through that process to deliver those things that I learn in the community. And so I absolutely love the first days of school. I look forward to that. Summer's great because we get a lot of work done. We hire new teachers and we plan for the year out, and that's a lot of good work that's done, but I also love that energy that happens the first day of school. There's nothing like convocation on day one to get you energized and to re-invite the spirit to come back to, here we go for another school year. And that's exciting. So I look forward to meeting the new teachers that I haven't met yet, and building relationships with our administrators. Those are the things that I look forward to most. And of course, having the students come back to school. I haven't had a lot of interactions with students yet, and I plan to. I really think that's what we're here for. We are here to educate students. They are our #1 priority, and so I look forward to them coming back. So I think I need to get the things done we need to get done during the summer, but then really looking forward to those first few weeks of school, the energy that comes back with it, the excitement of things that are going to happen throughout the year. And of course, learning all the things in between that I need to know to be able to manage the school system.
What do you want us to know about Paul Austin? What do you want the community to know about their new superintendent?
Well, I think the first and foremost thing that I want everyone to know is that I'm really here to support a tremendous educational system that they have. And I hope that through understanding what the community really truly values, what they want to see, and what they want to become becomes my working structure. Those are the things that I'm really incredibly dedicated to. I believe, like many educators do, that excellence is achieved through equity, and that every student, and all means, or every means all, and all students means all students, have the absolute best education possible. And that's our job to do that we reach every single student. And those are the things that I want them to understand as a community that I'm dedicated to, that I am here to serve every single student and to ensure that every student has the absolute best education possible that we can give them.
Have you seen challenges that you may be addressing initially here?
I think I have not seen them yet.
Okay.
I would say, I'm in that beginning part of research. I can tell you what was identified clearly as some of those focus areas. Some concerns around special education, ensuring we have a high quality special education program, that we're meeting the needs of students, and making sure that financially that we're managing our resources well. Those are things that I think we do well, but that I have to pay attention to. But I think it's really early for me to say the challenges are that. Those are things that people have identified. Foster school having to be, and the consideration of having that replaced at some point is a concern. We know that they've put 3 statements of interest to the Commonwealth. So those are important things that I know are there. I don't know how much of a challenge they are yet, and I really want to hear what the challenges are about those things. If those are focus areas, what is it that makes them a challenge for us?
What are some tangibles of some things that you've discovered about Hingham in our schools that are like sacrosanct, that they're good, they're not broken, let's keep it going?
Well, I think historically we've had an exceptional academic program. And I think that is, without saying, is our top priority. That everyone agrees on that. I think so. We do that well. We have incredible educators here. We get the very best teachers, and we keep them here. That's just something that's sacred to this district, and I have no desire to have any changes to that, and want to keep that. So I want to keep that tradition. I think one of the things that I've heard clearly is that we manage our resources really well. This is a community that supports its educational system very well. We've seen that through a number of ways, and those are clearly something that exists here already. And so those are things that we know we have to manage those resources well and continue that. So those things are always in place. And so I've learned that so far, but again, it's fairly early.
Is there anything else you want to share with us about your vision, your goals here for our school system?
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that I have the vision overall that we continue to provide academic excellence for all students. That's the vision I have. Now that said, the next 6 months I will be talking to parents and to students and to teachers and to administrators, to town officials, everyone associated or stakeholders, so to speak, in the educational system. From that information and what I gather for data, that hopefully will give me the structure and the framework to really be focused the next 3 to 5 years. And so my vision is important, I think, to me, obviously, that I care about high quality education, but I really want to know what is sacred to this town. What is it they want to see that we do well, or not they want to see it, but what do we do well? But what do they see in the future for us? What do they want to become? Where do they really want to take us next? And those are the things that I hope to find and gather that data over the next few months so that we can put a structure in place and kind of our roadmap to the future, and so that we can be future focused in preparing students for 21st century skills that are really changing every minute of the day. I mean, you think about what we've experienced over the last 10 years, and I know that you have long history in education as well, but what we're experiencing today is a rapid changing workforce. We have to keep up with that. We have to be mindful of what our students need tomorrow to be successful. Those are things that we need to be very cognizant about, and to ensure that our educational program is absolutely top-notch and remains top-notch, to ensure that those students are prepared and ready to go on to the next step.
How did you become the new superintendent here in Hingham?
Well, I wish there was a quick answer for that, and it's not a quick answer, but I'll do my best to explain it. I think about a year ago, I really began to think that I needed a change. And I've lived in Maine all of my life, and I really wanted to experience something a little bit different. And so my wife and I began the process of thinking about, well, where would you like to go? I love education. I did not want to be out of the field of education, but I felt like I just wanted a different experience, a different challenge. And so really the idea was never to come any specific state or any specific place, but just to keep our eyes open to say what challenges ahead for us. Those are the things we expect our students to take challenges today and to take risks. Those are risks for us as adults to think about, okay, there's a new challenge out there. Are you willing to go get it? And so actually I was in a conference in Maine last I think it was about October, and met the person running that Hingham School Committee had actually hired to run the search. That's NESDEC, and the name was Dr. Carolyn Burke. And I just happened to run into her at a conference, and we began talking about aspirations and things that we wanted to do, and she mentioned the town of Hingham. And she said, there was a superintendent opening there. And I said, well, I had never heard of Hingham, but let me do some research. And so I went home that evening, and I started to do a little research on, the beautiful thing about the internet today. You can find just about anything you want. And so we started to look at the town of Hingham, and my wife and I sat down at the computer together and said, what a beautiful town. And then really kind of dive into some of the history, the academic system here, and everything was so positive and so wonderful. And I said, why not? Let's take a look at that, and very quickly made the application process, and we started the process. So I didn't have anything specific that said I want to go South Shore, Massachusetts. I really just wanted a different challenge. And so we went through the process, which is quite long. It began in October and I think ended on somewhere in the middle of January, I think, for being selected. And so that's what brought me here. But as far as the technical side of that, yes, is bringing you here is going through the application process. But I think what really drew me here is a more important question. And I think that is the tradition of excellence that this system seems to have. No question, the level of engagement from the community, the type of support this community has for education, how they value education, is not found everywhere, sadly, in America. But truly is alive and well in Hingham, where people understand the value of a good quality education and how to support that. I hear everywhere I go, Joe, that people move to Hingham for an education. Clearly one of the top reasons why people come there, and how proud I am to be the leader of that organization that brings people to town. It's also a challenge for me. It's a challenge to continue that tradition, to ensure that we continue that long-standing history that we have of high-quality education experience for everyone. So I think it's really important. And of course, if you look downtown, the beautiful streets, the beautiful Main Street, the beautiful colored striping in the middle of the roads for the 4th of July parade that are put
red,
there.
white, and blue right down the middle.
Absolutely. And then you see all of that, and the beautiful buildings and the architecture. History comes alive in Hingham. So I think that's what really brought me here. It's what drew me into this community of people who are warm, inviting, proud of their heritage, proud of their educational system, and how excited I am as an educator to work in a place like that. Because unfortunately, not all educators get to do that.
On a personal note, do you have any hobbies? What would you like us to know about what you do for relaxation when you're not in the schools?
Sure. Well, I have 7 grandchildren. So that's a good hobby all in its own.
Yes. Okay.
And I absolutely love my grandchildren.
I've got 2.
And I love spending time with them. And so that's my number one I love to do, is to spend time with the grandchildren when I can do that. We have a little bit of a distance now because some of them are in Maine, the majority of them are in Maine. Some are actually in Texas. And so I don't get to see them as much as I want. And so that was probably the biggest transition for me, is not having access to grandchildren all of the time. And I think for them, not having access to their grandparents all the time. Aside from that, my wife and I love to travel. We go as often as we can and try to explore and do different things.
Do you have any favorite places that you've traveled to?
I
ones?
don't know if I want to say sadly. I'm a big Disneyite.
Okay.
I absolutely love Disney World, and my wife and I go there often just to experience the wonderful feeling of Disney. Enjoy that. That's a good commercial for all of you now, but sorry about that. But we love to do that. We love the Caribbean as well. When we need a place to go away when it's not 92 degrees out like it is here now. Yeah. But we enjoy that. So we love to travel, but I think my favorite thing to do, I love to cook. Oh. And so I enjoy cooking, love to barbecue, do all those things, love to entertain. So those are the things we do at home.
Now, you know, we've got a kitchen here in the studio.
I did hear that. I did hear that. I heard that you do shows, and I'll have to watch that now.
We're going to have to see what we can do about convincing you to come back and, as they say, put on the apron and roll up the sleeves.
If you need something really good seafood from Maine, I can probably help you with
Awesome.
that. Yeah.
Superintendent Austin.
Thank you.
Thank you for being our guest today. We look forward to having you back again real soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.